Hi. On this episode of the Citizens Academy, we're going to be talking a lot more about the City Commission's role with respect to decision making and policy setting, how they go about that process, and how it connects up to the overall municipal government organization. So, in order to explain the City Commission's role with respect to policy development and decision making, I thought I would use an analogy of commercial flight. So, the exhibit that you can see right here on your screen kind of summarizes this flight analogy. First thing is the plane is actually already in the air. So we are cruising at 50,000 feet and we will begin our approach to the runway here momentarily. But before we do that, I'd like to point out a few things with respect to our landing. At the bottom of the exhibit, you'll notice that there is a gray bar chart that goes across the bottom that says long-range planning and then transitions into budget or contract approval. And then right below that, you have a bunch of different bars that are ranging in color from green to blue. As you can see, the greener the bar is, the more the City Commission is involved in that aspect of the process. The bluer the box, the more that staff is responsible for that process along this journey that we're about to take. So that gives you just kind of an understanding of kind of where we're going to go with this as we begin our approach. So our plane is now at 50,000 feet. We're at the maximum height of our flight. And it is at this point that the City Commission's most important role takes place. And this is to define the purpose and vision of the municipal government. In other words, what is the primary purpose of the municipal government with respect to the community, and what is the vision that it aims to aspire to? This is a pretty important task because from this, all of the other work that comes to the municipal government will be defined by these critical elements. Then we begin our descent. And so we descend to 10,000 feet and we begin talking about strategic goals. And it is here that the City Commission begins to discuss and dialogue with the community about the long-range planning and strategic goals that will impact not only the community long-term, but also the municipal government. If, for example, the City Commission determines that a specific subject or issue is of priority to the community, it will not only have to define goals, but it will also have to align resources in the form of budget resources and human resources to make progress on those goals. And so an important thing is to establish those goals by defining them in a manner that the community and the municipal organization can understand. So as we begin to descend to the runway, strategic goals is the next key element or responsibility of the City Commission. We descend a little bit further to 30,000 feet, and it is here that we begin to have a balance between the work of the City Commission and the work of staff. It is here at 30,000 feet where we begin to prioritize action items that are needed to fulfill the goals that were identified and established by the City Commission. So the priority of action items takes place in a collaborative effort between the City Commission and staff to determine exactly what we're going to do to address the goals identified by the Commission. Once these are done, then it transitions to implementation, where the staff will then take the bulk of the responsibility and begin planning and overseeing the implementation of those action items. So with that, we descend a little bit further, closer to the runway, and we get to 20,000 feet, planning and oversight. It is here that the Commission's responsibilities again begin to decrease as we begin to review and adopt budgets, conduct meetings, prepare plans, and oversee functions. Now you might be like, well, I'm confused. Doesn't the City Commission adopt the budget? Well, that's correct. They do. But a lot of the initial or preliminary work with respect to developing the budget and making sure that it aligns with the Commission's priorities takes place at the staff level internally. Once the staff and the city manager develops the budget that they feel will meet the goals and priorities of the City Commission, It is then taken to the commission for review and eventual adoption. This, of course, is going to require considerable meetings and discussions with not only the city commission, but with community stakeholders as well. Of course, once those budgets are completed, departments will then also prepare plans and oversee various municipal functions that are funded with the municipal budget. So that could be overseeing projects, getting planning done so that those projects can be then let to bid. And so there's a lot of activity that takes place at this level of our work analogy. We descend a little bit closer to the runway, and this is our category of projects, where now we are going to be talking about authorizing contracts, we're going to be talking about planning, and then completing those projects. At this point in our flight, the City Commission's role is reduced quite substantially. And the reason for this is because at this point in the game, the Commission has authorized the project, and now it comes down to the bolts of getting the project built. In many respects, the City Commission lacks the knowledge and experience needed to manage these projects. And in addition to this, the City Commission operates on a part-time basis, and they have their own jobs that they need to manage as well. So by delegating this activity to the city staff, the city work can get done, but the City Commission always has the ability to review these projects to make sure that they're moving along according to the budget that was authorized and the timeline that was provided. The City Commission also serves as a liaison between the city and the community. So if there are issues with a project or there are things that need to be addressed as a result of public input, the commission can bring those up to staff so that they can be addressed throughout the project. And then we approach the final piece of our segment, which is the runway, as we prepare for a smooth landing. And this is going to largely be day-to-day activities. These day-to-day activities keep the city running by ensuring that some of these more mundane tasks get done without much fanfare. So these things can include things like paying employees, working on grants, and then completing all grant requirements, filing paperwork, making sure that we meet statutory obligations with respect to ordinances and other filings. So a lot of this work is going to be day-to-day. Much of it's not exciting, but is still required to make sure that the services that we provide comply with regulations and statutes and laws, and that meet the expectations of the community. So in essence, we've now landed the plane smoothly and safely in our analogy. So now you can understand how the City Commission and staff work together to facilitate actions that will eventually make the community a better place to live, work, and play. We'll see you next time on Citizens Academy.